Recording in progress.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to episode 18, EV
Welcome.
Obsession. Your host, Joe Boris, is back from the Move America concert, here as ever with Clean Technica CEO Zachary Shahan. Zachary, thanks for being a part of my show, baby.
Now you're just trying to annoy me with this. You're just doing this to upset me now.
I worry that my humor is going to come across as annoying and that you're not going to like me anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
after 18 years of this, now is the time that you're going to get annoyed.
Yeah, no, this is
it's funny, and you mentioned this the other day, that when we first started this show and we were talking about, can we really do this every day? Are there going to be enough stories to do this every day? Like, we have too many stories.
Have too many every day.
We have too many every day.
We were like, we're going to do this weekly. And I was like, there's too many stories for weekly. We'll do twice a week. That should be fine.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do this. We're gonna just do this 3 times a day. Like, are you here for lunch, guys? Okay. The last 2 hours, this following crazy nonsense has happened. Now we have a government shutdown. Now we're dealing with this Ford thing.
Episode 797. I'm here, Joe, your host, with my guest from the last 797 shows.
Eventually someone will figure out that you're the co-host.
It'll
lose all its novelty.
Oh, well.
But
we do what we can do. I'm the one recording this and uploading it, so I could just boot you at any moment or edit you out. I'll edit you out of the next
episode.
That'd
be amazing. You should definitely edit me out.
Talking to myself, laughing at myself. All right. Okay.
We're getting a little punch drunk this Friday.
It's Friday. Friday, as my wife and her school co-workers say now.
Friday? Oh,
yeah.
I don't care for that. I don't care for that.
It's definitely an elementary school phrase.
Speaking of elementary school phrases, the cozy coop.
How you like that segue?
I love that. Was good. I like that. It's not a segue though. It's by Little Tikes. The segue is a brand now. That was even better. So obviously most kids, especially if you are, from the privileged first world communities that have toys for your kids like this, the cozy coop is one of the first exposures to driving a vehicle that little kids have. And I know my daughter had a cozy coop. She loved it. And, she rode that thing all over the house, all over the yard, all over the neighborhood. Well, now the cozy coop is electric. And obviously it's still pedal powered. These kids are still Flintstoning this thing up and down the neighborhood. But now they have the ability to plug it in the same way mom and dad plug in their vehicles and, fill it up with some energy while it's being parked. And I think this is just such a great idea. It's a great way to involve kids in, this idea of the EV revolution. And it really sort of reinforces that charging is going to be something that happens at home, not something that happens at a gas station.
Yeah, I've got 3 things. The last one I'm going to leave to see if you can guess. But first one is, I'm sitting here looking at this. I'm like, wait, did I open the wrong link? This is not an EV. Like, why did Joe include this? And it took me a moment to realize there was a charging station there. Also, maybe just I was talking in the meantime, but I thought that was it fits very nicely there. But also, this is the UK. So is this only available in the UK?
I've seen it in the UK only so far. But the US toy companies tend to have a little bit of a different rollout for when they announce new products. So we might see this in like late October, early November as a new Christmas holiday thing.
But
cool. We have readers all over the world. So all our UK readers are going to run out and get this for their little Tikes.
No, yeah. If you haven't seen this yet and you're in the UK, we'd love to see you buy one and show it to us in a real picture with your kid using it or your grandkid. It's really cute, really cool. Do you know what my third comment on it is?
Oh no, what?
You have any guesses?
It looks like a Tesla charging port.
Yes, it looks like a Tesla supercharger, which, it's just another notch on the win chart for Tesla.
Yeah, another
it's
notch.
Not red.
No, but that's a really good point. Like, here's yet another manufacturer adopting the North American charging standard.
Oh, yes, exactly. Little Tikes.
So
We should have
get
oh, it's too bad we're not close to April 1st. We could have a press release about it.
no, this would be good. But you got to get this to Lauren McDonald so he knows to add Little Tikes to his list of
No,
OEMs that have adopted NACS.
I think you're more in touch with him these days than me, but we'll just have to
Yeah,
make
I'll
sure he
text him right
watches the
now.
show. Be like, hey Lauren, make sure to watch the first 10 minutes of this show. And be like,
Yeah, it
what the
takes us
heck
that
am I
long to get to
watching?
any actual content.
What am I actually watching here?
It's fine. People love us.
Yeah, so this is another one you found. Yeah,
Yeah.
jeez.
I
Well,
mean,
I have it. Yeah, go ahead, and then I have
no,
something
I'll just
after this.
introduce it real quick.
Okay.
So Donald Trump, who, if you're watching this and you're a Donald Trump supporter, boy, are you in the wrong place. Because, like, I cannot stand this old racist idiot. And he has continued to be stupid and to pander to the lowest, most moronic segment of society by standing up and basically saying that nobody wants electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are a bad idea. Nobody wants to build them. They cost too much money, and all kinds of other nonsense talking points that are about 10 years behind the time and were never real to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's a really strange thing for him to be doing from the floor of a non-union parts supplier, auto parts supplier. And it's even funnier because if you look at the Glassdoor reviews of the shop that he was at, it's basically every employee complaining that they're not paid enough, that management doesn't know what they're doing, that it's all a bunch of clowns, and you shouldn't go work there. And meanwhile, you still get a lot of complaints from the union shops, but they also pretty much say that they're paid fairly. So that's the point of the union.
Well, I mean, there's so much here, actually. I mean, it's yeah, there's a lot. He said somewhere at some point that he had a Tesla, but has he ever driven? Like, does he actually ever drive anything? And he just sort of lives in his like bedroom watching TV, it seems like, even when he was president. That's sort of what he did. But yeah, well, the thing that, I don't know, came to mind for me is how this is becoming like across the board a Republican talking point. Is they're just attacking EVs. Apparently they think that's good, and I think it's surprising. So DeSantis has done it as well, Ron DeSantis, and I found that surprising for a few reasons. One, Elon cozied up to him for a bit. I think Elon has changed allegiances to Vivek now that he thought Vivek was more electable. But of course, neither of them is even close to electable. They're not even close to winning the primary. But both of them, I mean, so even after Elon cozied up to Ron DeSantis, he's attacked EVs, like, and he's saying he would basically have all anti-EV policies. And
Yeah.
I find that surprising. I found it surprising just in general, knowing how many people Elon might be pulling over to his side or their side with some of his comments the past year or two. And I was like, you really want to lose these like hardcore Tesla Elon fans by attacking EVs? But then Elon's response was like very soft, and like it was really weak, soft responses to this. Like, dude, this was your life mission for most of your life, and you're gonna go let some people stomp all over it because of weird alliances you've created, like that don't
But
even make
again,
sense.
this goes back to the cynicism of Elon Musk and this idea that, he can get up there and talk about how the mission of Tesla is to reduce fossil fuels. But Elon's mission has been, if you look at how he spends his actual money, Elon's mission has been through his actions has been spending $44 billion to make fun of trans people and basically being a real life 4chan commenter who is protected by billions. And at the end of the day, I think he's far more interested in getting attention and gaining influence and cashing in dollars and not paying taxes than he is in the electrification of anything else. Or else, we
I
have to
think
consider the fact that
I think what
a lot of people are going to do it. Go ahead.
Walter Isaacson wrote a biography on him that just came out, Elon Musk,
Yep.
and he every interview he says there's several Elon Musks. There's several very different Elon Musks.
I
And
agree. He has mental health issues and needs to be looked at.
Well, I think the point is that sometimes one part of him, one ideal or set of ideals, is the overriding one. And for years, that was the push for electrification and sustainable energy. At other times, other things are, and sometimes he's super understanding and patient. Other times he's total jack. And I mean, this is not new. Walter Isaacson just got to be next to him for a long time and document it and explain it in a well-written way. But nothing really has been that surprising out of what he's written. But I think your comment about trans, I mean, he really got baited into buying Twitter based on a trans joke and one of his kids being trans. And that is
But it's not
clear,
like he was
that's clear and
defending his
obvious.
kid.
Like he was not buying. No, there was a right-wing conservative version of the Onion, the Babylon Bee, that made a joke about a trans person, and they got suspended unless they took down the joke because it was considered a hate speech. And Elon was very upset by it and thought it should be allowed on. And this is sort of what triggered him into buying Twitter. And at the same time, his kid, who is a trans woman, disowned, like changed their name to something else and didn't want to have any association with Elon. I think in the book he's quoted as saying something like, "You can't win them all," or something like that, or "You win some, you lose some," some phrase like that. Like, so it's just 10% of his kids, so you got to write it off. I don't know. It's a difficult situation, but I think, to me though, just sticking to EVs, I find it shocking. This is one of the few things I found shocking recently, is that he's not standing up for EVs and Tesla while his right-wing buddies are attacking them and saying nonsense that he has been fighting against for over a decade. So I just find it very weak and strange, like very, very strange. Like, but and then so much stems from the UAW trying to unionize Tesla and him getting offended by the coverage of that. And I think a lot of left-wing people getting misled and misinformed about Tesla because of this labor union push and like what ended up coming in the press. So I think there's just confusion on all sides. But when it comes to the right-wing attacks on EVs, like, it seems idiotic because like so many right-wing people are now EV fanatics. So many right-wing people are Tesla fanatics. So to be attacking EVs is just it's not helping you politically. It's not going to get out the vote. It's going to push some people to be like, oh, they all suck. I'm not voting for anyone. And on the other hand, it's like you're also like I don't know. It's just so weird in an age when Tesla is king of the hill to be doing this. And it's not like there's anyone really on their side. I mean, the legacy automakers are also planning to go fully electric now. All their commercials about how they're going to lead on EVs. So it's like, who are they winning except for like oil companies who already will only fund Republicans, will never fund Democrats, and
But what they're winning is the ignorant hilljack vote. What they're winning is,
but they already have that.
Yeah, but they can't lose it. That's the thing, is that when
it still doesn't make much sense when you're trying to win the middle ground, when you're trying to win those swing voters, and like don't scare. Well, I mean, they need to if they want to win a presidential general election. But yeah, let's move on. We'll have plenty to talk about.
I got a quick one for this though, sure. and I want to just stay on this for just 1 second. And
that's fine. I just know we have a lot next year.
Oh, I know. There's a really great book written by Ayn Rand in the 70s, and it was called The Return of the Primitive, right? And this was kind of along the same veins of like Carl Sagan when he talked about the demon haunted world, that you have people who have kind of identified and self-separated from the rest of society through this like tribalism of anger. And it's a sense of like, I'm angry about EVs. I'm angry about trans people. I'm angry about gay people. I'm angry about, people having different religions or looking different from me. And this is what happens, and this is what that is. And the American right, especially the Republican Party, has really figured out how to mobilize that. And if you're a reasonable, rational person who is not driven by hate and fear, then you see this and you go, man, this is such a contradiction. This is so crazy. But what these guys have figured out is that the way to mobilize people and get them to come out to vote is not to appeal to their sanity, is not to look for the highest number of sane people. It's to get as many of these crazy mental patients out to vote as possible, because they're going to keep everyone else away from the polls. There are people I
Yeah.
know who are afraid to go vote.
Yeah.
There were, in Oak Park and throughout Chicago during the last election, there were guys rolling around in Trump, in Trump trucks and pickup trucks and SUVs flying Trump flags,
Oh man, I'm in
knocking
Florida.
over.
I've
Yeah,
seen it.
but they were knocking over mailboxes, and they were ripping the post office drop boxes out of the street so that people who had dropped in their ballots couldn't vote and couldn't be counted. And
Yeah,
this is
oh,
what's
they're
happening
terrorizing
out
people.
there.
They tried to run a bus
Absolutely.
off the road. They've definitely terrorized a lot of people. But there's two things with that I think are really interesting. So one, that's what social media companies have figured out. If you get
Yes,
if you want higher engagement, you get people angry. And that's what social media has become, an angry food fighting or poop throwing contest.
exactly right.
And really that's what it's the same thing. Like when you described it like that, it's like, yeah, they figured out the same thing social media companies figured out. The best way to increase engagement, increase turnout, increase activity is make people pissed. And then at the same time, we have a very an aging population. We have the baby boomer population aging. People tend to get, I mean, not everyone obviously, but a lot of people get angrier as they get older. That's why we have
Yep.
the phrase angry old man, not angry young man. So you get a lot of people getting angrier and angrier, and they're just looking for, as you said, something to be angry about. And the party or the people who are going to stir them up and be like, yeah, you should be pissed about EVs. It's like, yeah,
That's
I
it.
should be pissed about EVs because I don't have a mansion on the coast of Florida, and I still live in a crappy house that's actually getting run down year after year because I lived the American dream. Maybe I even lived the American dream, but it's not what I expected it to be. Maybe I'm filthy rich, but I'm still not happy. Like, so I think this is kind of who they're talking to. But we should just look for a moment at what it is. There was so much, like, early in the Biden presidency, he made a huge political mistake by not acknowledging Tesla's leader or Elon Musk and getting immediately on their bad side when it would have been so easy to get on his good side. He was on the good. Obama was on his good. They were. I mean, Obama saved Elon and his companies, and in some ways helped them a lot, at least, if you don't want to go as far as to say to save them. But they were very friendly and complimentary and helpful. In actuality, the EV strategy Biden brought about got Tesla's tax credits back. So while
Yep.
most other automakers had $7,500 tax credits available for their EVs, Tesla did not, because they sold over 200,000. It's a weird system that led to that in the first place. Basically, they were pushing for, the bill was going to be 200,000 max EVs sold, and like the first 200,000 people used a tax credit, then it would phase out. And Plug-in America got them to change it to 200,000 per automaker. So it increased the pie dramatically, but it ended up with a weird system where leaders get penalized for crossing 200,000 sooner. So what basically Biden's initiative did in one way was bring Tesla's tax credits back and help Tesla to compete better with all these other automakers again. Huge benefit for Tesla. But because he
Yeah.
didn't honor Elon and honor Tesla, never mentions Tesla, always mentions GM or Mary Barra or something, a lot of Tesla people hate him now. And it's also really stimulated investment in EV factories and EV battery mining and processing and EV battery factories in the US. It finally is onshoring working class jobs in a key growing blue collar industry. So it's again, and is helping Tesla again to build cheaper batteries at home, more American made. All these things help
Yeah.
Tesla in its mission. but because of politics, not policy, two very different things, a lot of Tesla fans have come to hate Biden and the Democrats, I
But
think
think of
baselessly.
how ridiculous and petty and small-minded and pathetic that is.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's also like, so Republicans can sort of get away with attacking Biden and his EV policies because of this. And Tesla guys, a lot of them I see are like, yeah, we don't need that. It's like, dude, this is helping Tesla and its mission, especially its mission, like its core mission, why it exists. So it's like, I'm not a fan, but
Not a
yeah,
fan.
we'll talk.
EV go.
So there's a lot going on with big EV charging networks in the US right now. They have all struggled with reliability issues. And Jennifer Senspa has been covering this beat very strongly. As a Chevy Bolt owner, previous Nissan Leaf owner, she's and someone who travels a lot, especially off the grid. She's very keen to see these networks improve, and she's been tracking it well, encouraging them, helping them in some ways, and pushing for better policies. And so, yeah, EVgo has been working to improve reliability of its stations, and she's got a good long article about this.
Yeah, I think I struggle with this, right? Because there's a lot of there are a lot of charging companies, and a lot of the reliability issues are not really hardware based in the sense that the charging station doesn't work. A lot of it is connectivity, right? And there was recently, I think it was ChargePoint that said they were going to spend 25 or 125 million dollars upgrading their connectivity so that they could process payments and things like that. And I'm just not really sold on this. Like, I don't understand how this is going to, I don't understand how more of the same is going to be an improvement. Like, I guess what I'm saying is I don't understand what EVgo's improvement plan, how it's different from what they're doing now. It just seems like they're doing more of the same.
Right. You're like, why? What wasn't it maintaining stations and fixing them anyway? Like, right?
That's my point. Like, okay, so now this is now a news story that you like have a plan to keep your stations up and running. Like, it just seems a little bit, and again, maybe it's just me. Maybe I had a crappy flight in or something. I don't know. But like, I just feel like this is like you're asking for kudos and pats on the back and celebrations for doing kind of the bare minimum.
I mean, is it just a marketing thing? Like, I mean, this is there's 6 pillars. It's called EVgo Renew. I mean, I think there's just a lot of concern about EV charging station reliability for obvious reasons, and they're trying to say, look, we're on top of it, and we're striving to do better because we know we haven't been 100%.
Mm-hmm. I
like,
talk about this a lot with companies that approach us, right? So sometimes we get a PR company or someone approach us, and they have somebody that they want on the podcast, or they have an article that they want us to write. And the line that I always give them, it's a kind of a tacky line, or not a tacky, canned line, but it's I believe this. If something happens, if Ford invests $50 billion into new jobs in Ohio, that's news. Like, hey, that's news. We cover the news. That is our mandate. So we're going to write about that. But the minute it goes from Ford is going to invest $50 billion in Ohio, and here's why that's awesome, and here's a quote from the governor, and here's this and that, I feel like that can start veering into promotion. And to me, this whole article is promotion. This is, EVgo is saying, hey, we're trying to keep our stations online, and it's going really good. Talk about how great this is. To me, this should have been, to me, this is an ad. This is an ad for EVgo, and I don't know how.
tell us how you
Like,
really feel, Joe.
no, that's how I feel.
No, that's
No,
good.
that's how I feel. I don't
I think
really
that's
feel like
useful.
this is. Yeah, I don't feel like this is something. This is like Target says their new initiatives are helping keep the power on at their stores that you shop at. Like, yeah, you need to have power there so people can buy the stuff. I get it.
So how about this one? Electrify America, the other large EV fast charging network in the country that's not Tesla, is opened, making easier trips to the Grand Canyon for CCS EVs.
I actually like this. One of the great things about this country, probably the single best policy I think that we have in this country, short of public libraries, is the national park system. And it is such a grand and noble idea to think that we have this beautiful, unspoiled wilderness, the likes of which never really existed in the last 1,000 years in Europe. And we as Americans are going to preserve it, protect it, and make it accessible to everyone. And the fact that it was very difficult, or at least very scary, for people who were new to EVs to effectively find and charge their way around the Grand Canyon and some of the national parks surrounding the Grand Canyon, has always felt a little bit un-American. So the fact that Electrify America is taking steps to ensure that people who are visiting these parks can access them safely and confidently with electric vehicles, I think that's great news.
Yeah, so I mean, Jennifer basically writes about how much this does help to visit the Grand Canyon in an EV for sure. Obviously, it's a big venture in any vehicle, and having a fast charging stations right there at the entrance is extremely useful. So yeah, I think I saw recently that was one of the key areas lacking EV fast chargers. Although I'm trying to remember now, because this is the
I
South
think
Rim.
Tesla had a destination charger there.
Yeah, and this is the South Rim, and I know Jennifer prefers the North Rim, but the South Rim I think is the more popular. But yeah, it's just in general, it's not going to be easy to, like, this is one of the biggest challenges for an EV to travel these kind of places. So any help is good and useful.
Hi, my name is Scott Cooney. I started Clean Technica to promote clean energy and other sustainable alternatives, and for 13 years we've been moving markets. If we had a nickel for every time someone told us they bought their first EV, solar, e-bike, or fill in the blank clean energy solution, we'd be a cable TV channel by now. But we don't get those nickels. So unfortunately, we could use your help to reach a few more people. If just 1% of our audience chipped in a few bucks a month, we could hire dozens of great journalists and promote all sorts of climate solutions. It's easy. Just go to cleantechnica.com/support and sign up with a credit card in seconds. Cancel anytime. But we'll be sending out some cool perks too, so I think you'll want to stick around. With your support, we'll keep leading the charge. Thank you so much.
This is Kia EV9 news. It's going to sell for $55,000 in the US. I feel like this is a price you're going to be excited about.
Oh yeah, that's 20 grand less than than what I would have expected it to be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking very much the same thing. It's base Model Y territory.
Yeah, and it's a 7-passenger, and it's got normal doors. And I think critically, this is going to steal a lot of customers. Not steal a lot of customers, but I think there's going to be a huge response to this car. Um, Kia has the Telluride, which was their first, not their first, but it was their first successful 7-passenger SUV. They previously did a body on frame SUV in the early 2000s that was less successful, which too bad. It was a phenomenal vehicle, but I think this is hitting the right spot in the market. It's just a little bit above. And it's funny, if you do the math, if you take the $7,500 out of that number, it puts it right at the average transaction price of a new vehicle. So like it is like exactly right in the meatiest part of the bell curve. It is 7 passengers. It's a sharp looking SUV. It's very modern. It's got a lot of styling cues there that are cyber trucky. And I think this is gonna do just a ton of business. When I saw this at the Chicago Auto Show, they had this I think about 2 years ago. Everybody was just mouth open checking this thing out. I think this is going to be a really popular vehicle, and like I said, it's $20,000 less than I thought it was going to be. This makes a lot of people players.
Yeah, I second everything you said. Of course, the 7-passenger is an option. It's going to cost more, but there's never a huge price range in legacy automaker prices for a model. So whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be dramatically above 55,000 for the 7-passenger option. I mean, I just
but I don't think it has any competition really at any price. I mean, by the time the Volvo EX90 comes out a year later, that's going to be significantly more.
No, I could see it being very popular. Kia is one of the companies that's seen sales increase in the past several years. It's just a more and more popular brand. People see it as reliable but affordable. It sort of has, like you talked about before, it doesn't have the stigma of just being a cheap brand. It's like, oh, this is nice. This is affordable but nice. Like, and people just are more and more open to it. And I think this looks really good. I mean, this looks Volvo like to me.
Yeah, it looks really sharp.
The lights, the back here. So it's really could be a huge hit. Again, it just comes down to what I said before with Kia, like if they make enough. Like, will they make enough for demand? And I hope they will. The other part of the news is that they're going to have plug-in charge capability in Europe. So you just plug in and it starts charging. You don't have to use an app or key card or anything. And we had a webinar.
Plug-in charge is so huge. I mean,
yeah, we had
we just can't cover that
webinar
enough.
or something about explaining plug-in charge. If you really want to get into the details of, it's on our channel here as well. And
we should replay it. Yeah.
I should take this opportunity to encourage people to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe to Clean Technica if you like it. And if you hit that little bell notification button whenever we publish a new video, you will get notified on your phone or wherever. So just make sure you hit that bell as well so that you get notified whenever we publish a breaking news or non-breaking news video. Yeah, but that looks like a very promising. We're gonna have to put it on our list of most promising coming EVs at EV9. We'll have to make that list, and it's gonna be on there for sure, I think.
Yeah, we can do that.
This is cool.
Oh, look at that. So now we have video within video. This is great. This should be the whole show. We just Mystery Science Theater 3,000 other people's EV podcasts.
We can definitely get B-roll of a lot of these these vehicles instead of using photos.
Yeah, this is great. So, we always talk about GM BrightDrop. I'm a huge fan of what BrightDrop is doing. And, Staples is adding to its last mile delivery fleet a couple of, plug-in EVs. And this looks good to me. It's doing the thing. It's going around. There's stuff in it.
The Ontario.
This is in Canada. Yep. This is in Canada, but as with all these things, you get the pilot programs or where you get them, and then they roll them out nationally and internationally.
So there's an interesting one. Honda and Acura are, well, they've recently adopted the NACS standard, Tesla's charging standard, but they're also teaming up with a number of other automakers to create their own network. And I don't know, it's like they're sort of throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what works.
That's exactly, yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I was going to say it seems like they're kind of trying to play every hand.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're not going to develop our own EVs. We're going to use General Motors Ultium, but we are going to develop our own EVs in other markets, and we might import those. But those will use NACS. But the ones we do with GM will be CCS until GM goes to NACS, and then we'll move ours to NACS. That's
an impressive monologue there.
I will have one more, though. It's really funny. So in 2008, 2009, when GM was really struggling and going through its initial bankruptcy, which GM did go bankrupt. Remember, it did split the company, and part of it, the legacy, the old GM went away. One of the things that it did to kind of try to revive its product line was it worked with Honda, especially on the Saturn side and on some of the Pontiac side and Chevrolet. And it was Chevrolet vehicles with Honda engines and transmissions. The Saturn Redline was kind of the most well-known example of this, that it had a hot Honda motor under the hood. And now it's funny, we are 15 years later, and the most sought after desirable Honda has GM power under the hood. So I think that's kind of amusing.
Yeah. There's one more note here. There's different types of charging packages you get. So depending on whether you have a home charger or not, basically. But the thing that really this made me think was, and all of this series of announcements, like legacy automakers should have gotten a clue a lot earlier.
Yep.
And especially in the Tesla partnership. So now everyone's agreed to use Tesla's supercharging standard. Tesla used to say you have to do two things to join their network: build cars that can connect to it and help contribute to it financially. If other automakers had joined at that time, they could have had a joint venture or whatever, a shared ownership of the supercharging network, and any profits from this could be spread amongst the partners. Instead, Tesla now doesn't need any money. They're very cash happy.
Well, they have more money than anyone else too.
Yeah, they're just sitting on more money than they can do anything with. Like Elon said it, like they just can't, they don't have enough they can do with that money, sort of Apple-like. And so there's no one's getting a piece of the pie. It's Tesla's network, and if Tesla makes billions of dollars of profits in 10 years because everyone's using the supercharger network and it's the one getting the profits, like you missed out on that by being slow and lazy and too egotistical, too proud to partner with Tesla when it was smaller. And I find it frustrating. Like I find it really frustrating. Like these guys should have just sucked it up and been big enough, several years ago to say, yeah, we'll partner with you. We'll do this together. Instead, they're all like, now they all look lame. They're crawling to Tesla like, yeah, will you help us so that our EV drivers can also travel across country without stress? I don't know. I just it just sort of infuriates me. And the slower, the ones who join later and later, it's like, gosh, why did it take you so long? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It just pisses me
no,
off.
it's
Maybe I'm getting old and I'm grumpy old man syndrome.
You're getting angry and you're old. I love it. No, it speaks to an idea that I understand very clearly, and I try to communicate over and over again, and I feel like most people don't get it. It speaks to who the customers of these companies are. Tesla, because they sell direct to consumers, Tesla's customers are Tesla drivers. So they want their customer experience to be positive. They want to be in ownership and control of the customer experience. And so they provide everything that their customer needs to be successful. Ford's customer is not Ford drivers. Ford drivers buy nothing from Ford. Ford drivers buy from dealers. Dealers buy cars from Ford. Ford's customers are its dealers. Its dealers do not sell fuel. Its dealers do not sell home chargers. So it was an afterthought because they are focused on who is their customer, right? And I think that's the biggest mistake that any company can make in the 21st century, is this idea that the brand is separated from the customer. And these legacy brands are suffering now because of that separation from the customer. And they're going to continue to suffer until they figure out a way to get back into a direct relationship with their end user.
Yeah, that's really useful industry perspective that you always bring in here. So yeah. Oh, and look at this. Now we get to a story I was excited baby.
About. So I'm so psyched by this. I've actually written about this car. This car has been spotted a few times, heavily camouflaged in different testing facilities. But this is, and I'm going to say this wrong, it's produced by Xiaomi. It's backed by Xiaomi. It's a Chinese, phone company, device manufacturer. This is called the SSC small sports car. And it is stylistically heavily influenced by two cars that are near and dear to my heart. It looks very much like the original Concealer, and it looks a lot like the Lancia Stratos. This is a car that is tiny. And I mean, it is like several feet shorter than a Porsche 911, which is not a big car. It is significantly smaller than a Mazda Miata or a Honda. It's about the size of a Honda CRX. It weighs 1,300 kilograms, which is for a car, like for a modern car, that's very lightweight. And it has about 400 horsepower. In the world of EVs, where we're talking about 1,200 horsepower out of a Lucid Air, 1,000 horsepower out of a Model S Plaid, 400 horsepower is nothing to write home about. But because it is in such a lightweight, compact vehicle with all-wheel drive, with torque vectoring, with low mass, with a ton of mechanical grip from pushrod suspensions, this is a real modern performance car that just happens to be electric. I could not be more excited about this.
Yeah, I think the tough thing with pictures is you can't tell how small it is. It looks big in those pictures, you know, like just because that's how it works, you know.
Yeah, but if you look at the wheels, so
Well,
if you
this is
look
where
at the
you can
height
get a
of the wheels, yeah, you get a really good sense of that. But if you look at the wheels, the height of the wheels of most cars are about 28, 27, 28 inches. And then above that, you typically have about 10 to 12 inches of space. Even on a Miata, you have about 8 inches of height from the top of the tire to the lowest part of the body. And here it's right there. And that's exactly how these older sports cars used to be, where the top of the tire was like really close to the height of the body. And you see that there. You really see from this picture that Lancia Stratos wraparound front windshield that is also so much like the Concealer. The Concealer, had that big side scoop there and was the same kind of size of vehicle. And then there's a top view. I don't know if it's in this particular set of images, but there's a top view of the car where the driver and passenger sit almost on top of each other, next to each other, giving it a very central position with the driver's seat just slightly ahead of the passenger to put them more centrally located and have their feet closer to the center line of the front wheels. This is just great stuff. And
I love
yeah,
the
I don't
back.
know, man. Like
The back of it looks wicked. I love this.
I love this car. Yeah, this is.
I mean, the front looks great. It's just it doesn't like I mean, it looks great, but it looks similar to a lot of, you know, fast cars. But the back here, like this looks really unique and cool to me.
So it's funny if you look at the look up like a 1975 like 74 75 Lancia Stratos, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it looks like a 70s car. It's perfect. And again, we're getting old, so like anything that reminds us of our youth in the 70s, we're going to be excited about. Yeah, I my regret on this car is, first of all, it should be green. There should be a green variant. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's just so slick. I like this thing a lot.
Yeah, it's very nice. Definitely an awesome.
Almost zero chance that it'll come to the US. We're gonna have to find a way to bring these in. Maybe we'll get a tester.
Yeah, revealed in China. We talked about that before. China gets everything good now. It's a new this. Oh man, I don't know. We're pretty far into this show. We probably have to come back to Cybertruck discussion. Well, let's see what. Oh, that's it. So we have the 50 new electric buses going to Scotland. That's the story. Just want to highlight that. We don't.
Yeah, yay, we did it. And they're Volvos.
Nice, cool Volvo double decker. Very cool. Look at that castle behind. Like, just awesome.
That's amazing.
But if we want one more kind of op-ed style rant discussion, we talked about this before, but Jennifer has a really good article. Yeah, it's the weekend, so we're not going to get back to this on Monday. So she has a really good article. How well will the Cybertruck actually sell? It rips off of a Forbes piece, but it's a good piece exploring like, okay, there's this many reservations, but people like me had a bunch with the expectation that maybe it could be used as a robotaxi, and you could the big, I think, mistake they made with it that beefed up reservation numbers is they said if you reserve it now, you lock in the current full self-driving price. So it's just easy speculation. You just say, okay, I'll reserve a bunch, and if I locked in a $6,000 full self-driving price and you actually achieve robotaxi capability, I'm walking to the bank. I'm like instantly rich. So, I mean, again, are they going to hold themselves like? Are they holding true to that? But in any
I
case,
think there was a lot of reservations also that were speculative that,
oh, I'll get it
you
and
know,
sell it, flip it.
well, I'll get in it and I'll sell it and flip it. Or frankly, that have lost interest by now. I mean, if you go back to
Yeah.
2020 and
I agree.
2021, when you couldn't get a vehicle, right? When the inventory was low, I knew people, and I'm not talking about anecdotal, like I helped them set this up where they would put down a reservation on a Ford Lightning, they'd put down a reservation on an Audi e-tron GT, where they might have put down 4 or 5 reservations on different EVs, and it was just like, we'll see which one becomes available.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't mean that, and you had all of these car makers saying, oh, we're selling so many of these things, look how many orders we have. And it's like, you're not going to fill all those orders. And I think that really, certainly Ford, it caught them by surprise because they were taking orders for these super high end laid out XLT Lariat Lightnings and, not understanding what was happening. So they overbuilt on those because they were happy to fill those orders ahead of the work truck orders that weren't as profitable. And now those cars are collecting dust on dealer lots.
Yeah. Also, like they had pricing for a long time on there. The base price was gonna be 40,000.
That's right.
Again, like I'm like, okay, I can lock in this price, full self-driving for 6,000 with $100 refundable deposit. Obviously, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do several because what if this is actually going to happen? It's not going to be 40,000. I don't believe that there's a chance that the low end price is $40,000. So already, like people expecting a $40,000 Cybertruck, I think, unless I'm wrong, are going to be like, oh, it's too much.
But I mean, they could sell it for 40,000. They don't need the truck to be profitable. They've got enough cash. They have more money than they know what to do with by their own admission. So why do they need to maximize their profits on this?
They're going to keep their profit margin high.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
So there's the robotaxi issue. Like I said, I had 6, canceled 5. I have one more. I'm almost definitely not getting it. Like it doesn't fit in my garage, and I don't like big vehicles anyway. Another issue she brings up is like it's not exactly an environmentalist dream. It's a very large vehicle that's sort of against historically the environmental approach. And smaller is better, smaller is beautiful. This is gigantic. It's like it's Hummer like, so that's going to offend a lot of people who are EV for environmental reasons. It's probably not going to appeal to a lot of conservative buyers who are loyal to Ford or GM. Maybe some of them, but how much?
Oh, but it'll appeal to them because Elon is one of them, and
well, it appeals to some of them, but then a lot of others, it's just very much a social media vehicle, in my opinion. So it's like easy, like, oh yeah, it's like Tesla is a social media company. Obviously, I mean, Elon bought Twitter. Like it's built on social media in a lot of ways. And so it's an easy thing to say, oh, that's so cool, I'm going to put down my deposits too. And then it goes viral. Everyone putting down their deposits. Hey, you don't have a deposit for a Cybertruck? What's wrong with you? Everyone's got to have one. I can't find where it is, but she mentions someone who she knows who's nearly homeless and has a reservation or more than one for it. And they're like, yeah, I'm not going to get it, but I have reservations for now. It's like you can have it without having to pay for it right now with reservations.
Yeah.
In the future, once they're being delivered at scale, there's no, oh, I have a reservation for a Cybertruck. It's like either you have a Cybertruck or you don't. So then it's like it's over. The game is up. So we'll see how many people are actually. I mean, I still think they can easily sell over 100,000. Elon was like targeting 150,000. Maybe if it gets viral among real truck owners, 250,000, but
it depends on the price, right? I think at like 50 grand and below, could you sell 100,000? Yeah, maybe. I think at 70, 75,000.
I don't think it's going to be that cheap
there,
but we'll see.
I would say this.
They pulled the pricing off the website a long time ago.
The thing that is making me not a player on this is Elon cuddling up with the fascists.
Yeah, you have a lot of hardcore Tesla fan. Well, you got who knows how much have come into the fold versus left the fold. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, just based on the truck itself, that's awesome. I would buy it.
I mean, I think it's cool and fun, and
Yeah, it's
part of
cool
me
and
is like, oh,
fun.
I'd love to drive that around, but no, it's not what I want to drive around every day. I don't want to be the guy with a Cybertruck. Like, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I feel like that almost immediately puts a certain tag on you
This is
that
going to be
some
like
people would
the
be happy to
guys.
have, but
Some people would be happy to have it. These are. Do you remember? Like there was a whole decade, I think, when people were putting like no fear stickers on Jeep Wranglers, and like we were wearing tap out shirts.
well, I was just talking. We were the best soccer team in our region when I was a kid, and there's another team that was pretty good. Like, was sort of our biggest rival in the region, and their
Sure.
best player was this like tough guy. He had no fear, like carved like in his hair, like haircut with no fear written in his hair. It was
Exactly.
so hilarious. We thought it was he thought it was this tough guy. He wasn't a tough guy. He was like sort of a half tough guy, like
He's a nerd.
he was a bully kind of guy.
He was like a bro nerd.
he
Yeah.
was
No,
he was a
this
kind of
is.
bully with who his dad told him he had to have no fear and had to be a tough guy, and but he wasn't genuinely deeply a tough
Yeah.
guy. So
That guy's a cop now.
yeah,
He's a
exactly.
traffic cop in Sarasota.
No, but I mean, I love like a few years ago, I don't think there would be the issue. Now I'm concerned that people, there's Teslas everywhere, but people just buy them. But the Tesla Cybertruck sort of says, oh, you're a hyper fan, right? And a few years ago, I was
Yeah.
proud to say I am. Now, I don't want people thinking I'm all on board with Elon all the time.
There's a
I'm all on board
bunch
with
of
Tesla
Teslas.
and its revolution and the
Yeah.
EVs, but I don't want to be like, I don't want people to think, oh, he's a total Elon fanboy. Like,
Yeah. There's a ton of Tesla, not a ton, but I've seen like at least three or four. The first one might have been the same one twice, admittedly. There's a couple of Teslas in my neighborhood that have bumper stickers say I bought it before I knew he was crazy.
oh yeah, yeah, I've seen some too. I mean, no, it's a legitimate thing, and on the flip side, maybe it could become the mega mobile.
Oh yeah, I think there's a real chance of that this becomes like the pro-Trump MAGA mobile, anti-union, whatever else. Yeah.
It could very
And
much become that.
I think there was an interesting survey about this. I wish I could find it on demand, but I'm sure somebody else can find it. That it came out a couple of years ago. It was like 2021, and it said that of the people who were surveyed, and these were just general people, um, something like 75% were aware of Tesla as a brand, but only 25% were aware that Tesla made an EV.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh. So we had a 2015 Model S in Europe, starting in 2016 or 17. We bought it used. I don't remember when we bought it, but we drive it around, and people are constantly asking, "Hey, who makes that? Who makes that?" It's like Tesla. It's like, yeah, but who's the automaker? It's like Tesla. Yeah, yeah, but what brand is it? Who makes the vehicle? It's like so they
They
and then
don't
you have
understand. Yeah.
and then so many times we're like, oh yeah, I know Tesla. Oh yeah, great. It's like, but does it use any gas? And it's like, no, it doesn't use any gas. Like, no, Tesla's 100% electric. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing that stood out to me years ago were these surveys about people saying they were interested in buying an electric vehicle next, and the brand they saw as the leading EV brand was Toyota, and Toyota didn't have an electric.
That's it. I found it. I
They
found it. I
associate them with
dropped it.
hybrids.
Yeah, I put it in our Google chat.
Oh, I can't open Google Chat. Can you put it in this one? In the Zoom chat?
Yeah, I can do it. I can try to do it. Let me see. Zoom chat. No, I can't because it's on my phone and I'm not on the
Oh,
phone.
maybe actually I just stopped that, and
I'll email it to you.
no, I found it here. Oh wait, what is I found another one first that you sent, the tax one. Me
So the
having to
tax
pay
one's
my own
great.
taxes and paying only 750. That's bad. Oh, oh my.
Yeah,
Oh,
so this was from 2021. It said 17% of Americans surveyed were not aware that Tesla offered an electric vehicle. At the same time, Toyota did not have an electric vehicle, And fully 21% of Americans said that they were aware of Toyota's EVs that did not exist, and they were considering buying one.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so again, it's the mistake about associating hybrids and electrics and Toyota being the leader. Yeah.
But this is why I think it doesn't matter. Like, you can have a Republican Party that says EVs are lame and Teslas are awesome, and they're not going to have a problem with that because 17% of them think they have no idea that Teslas are electric.
Yeah, and I think that works right now with Tesla's sort of blending in more. With the Cybertruck, I just see that becoming a vehicle that's got a clear branding, cultural branding, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, it's a unique vehicle. So the one thing we can say is we don't really know what's going to happen with it because there's no other vehicle quite like it, like at all. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, that's our show.
See you Monday, folks.
We didn't go off the rails on Friday at all.
We started without any rails. Like, what are these things? The only rails to me. Throw them over there.
We'll go back to the pure.
Go to the pure innocence.
The cozy e-charging station.
Okay. Here we go. This is the last crazy thing we say today. What are the odds that Tesla sues them because it looks too much like a supercharger?
0%. No.
We'll see.
Okay, 10%. 10% we'll say. All right. Cheers.